this woman who's a British citizen, the British government is contending, we were never notified. We would have aided in her legal defense. We would have called witnesses. We would have shown that she grew up with high honors in school and even once sang a song for Prince Charles or somebody. We weren't notified. So that's the other issue, and it's predominantly Mexicanos that are on death row in the United States. So this is a very important issue, because even though the World Court ruled it, the United States doesn't accept that ruling. So that's an issue that still has to be fought. But I think if you really believe in fairness on any level, whether it's a moral level or just a legal level, you have to be against executions, because there's too many mistakes made. And once a mistake is made, you can't change it. Todd Willingham, who was executed for killing his 3 beautiful, beautiful little girls, can't be brought back, ever. And, I mean, it's so obvious he didn't do it. If you believe in punishing people severely, fine. Or if you believe that people can change. When you execute somebody that's been on death row 20 years, you're not executing the same kid that committed a crime. You're executing somebody that's a changed person. And all of us who are over the age of 40 probably can remember really stupid things we did as teenagers, and like, oh my God, how could I have done that? I'd never do that now. And of course, most of us don't kill people, but it's the same thing. People evolve, people change. You take away that humanness from somebody when you execute them. You're saying there's no hope, no redemption. Sister Helen Prejean from Louisiana, who wrote the book Dead Man Walking, that was made into a very Academy Award-winning movie, always says something that I think is very true, as somebody who was kind of a wild teenager. People are not only the worst thing they have done in their lives. There is so much more to somebody, even if they killed somebody. You're not the worst thing you've ever done. And I think that's true. But there's a lot of levels that people can get involved in fighting the death penalty. Churches do a lot of good work, and that's one way. Activists do a lot of work. Lobbyists do a lot of work. Legal workers do a lot of work. I know that here in Texas, in Houston, there's a group, well, Houston and Austin, called the Texas Defender Service, which defends people once they get to death row. Every summer, actually all year round, they have interns that from around the country that come and spend a year working with them. Even from, where did I meet somebody from Norway, I think, who was visiting and decided to stay here for a year and work with them. There's a group called GRACE, Gulf Region Advocacy Center, I think, that actually defends people at the trial level. They're a nonprofit. They have interns. People can volunteer. Or another way people can help is monetarily. I know that with my little pittance of a teacher retirement check, I give $10 every month to Grace. It comes out of my bank account. I never see it. That's just one little thing that somebody can do. $5 or $10 a month. If hundreds of people did that, that might, pay the salary of a paralegal to help out. So there's just so many different levels people can find that suit them if they want to deal with this injustice of the death penalty. There's national and statewide and local organizations that fight the death penalty. There's organizations on campuses. Almost every campus, wherever you are in the United States, has an Amnesty International chapter. I just found out that Amnesty is sending somebody from their Southern Regional Office to Houston to do death penalty work. I just heard that last night. I'm so glad. Amnesty International is a great group when it comes to fighting the death penalty. In Texas, there's about 4 groups that work together a lot. The Texas Death Penalty Abolition Movement, which is the group I'm in, that meets at Shape Center on the first Tuesday of every month. There's the Texas Moratorium Network, and they're based in Austin, and they do a lot of social media work. They're on the internet, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're on MySpace. They've got something like 20,000 people on an email list. There's the Campaign to End the Death Penalty, which is in Austin, which is primarily, but not exclusively, a student organization based at the University of Texas. And then there's this wonderful new group in Texas that's come about in the last between 3 and 4 years, called Kids Against the Death Penalty. In fact, if you Google them, you'll find out that they just this week returned from Geneva, where they spoke at the World Congress Against the Death Penalty, and apparently stole the show. Because not only are there kids, although I think when they first started, none of them were even teenagers. Now I think the president might be 13 or 14 years old. It was started by some kids whose uncle is on death row, Jeff Woods, under the law of parties. And they thought, gosh, how can Uncle Jeffrey be on death row? He didn't kill anybody. He was sitting in his pickup truck when his friend went in to get a drink, and next thing he knows, there's a gunshot and somebody's dead. These kids have been so inspirational to us adults because they are, every time there's an execution, they're protesting, but they're not just reactive, they're very proactive. They help to lobby, they help write letters, they do videos, they've got all kinds of videos. When Governor Perry's 200th execution came up, they went to Huntsville, they had cut out little figures, 200 of them. Every one of them had a name on them and the date they were executed. It was quite a visual thing. And there was a lot of media there, and they spoke so articulately. So the Kids Against the Death Penalty is just such an asset. There's a national group called the Death Penalty Information Center. They're not an activist organization per se, although Richard Dieter, who's the executive director, speaks out a lot against the death penalty. But they're really an information center, and I highly recommend their webpage, because whether you want to find out about foreign nationals or on death row, or innocence, or race, or whatever, I mean, they have every statistic you can imagine. They also have the list of all 139 people who have been exonerated off death row with a photo and a description. So that's really the best website. The Texas Moratorium Network has a blog that's part of their website that is also excellent, and I think it's texasmoratorium.org. So, and Death Penalty Information Center's website is deathpenaltyinfo.org, I believe. Those are two excellent sources of information. If people want to get in touch with the Texas Death Penalty Abolition Movement, they can email us or write us. Our email is abolition.movement@hotmail.com, and they can write us at Death Penalty Abolition Movement, Post Office Box 3454, Houston, Texas 77001. We get lots of letters from on death row and also from families, so we like to get letters and answer them. And or you can call us at 713-503-2633. We meet the first Tuesday of every month and have been for, I don't know, over a decade. We meet at Shape Community Center on Live Oak, first Tuesday.